Welcome to Game 5 of the Celtics and the Hawks. An unexpected turn of events as you look at the McDonald's starting lineup. Joe Johnson with a Herculean effort, 35 points, 20 in the fourth quarter in game number 4. And Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, the big three for the Celtics, finding themselves in an unusual 2-2 matchup against the Hawks. Set to go in Game 5, and the tip controlled by Atlanta. The Celtics winning the first 2 games here by 23 and 19 points, and then the Hawks with a great effort winning Game 3 and 4.
You would think, obviously, an early start for Atlanta, very important, but not necessarily so. Back at home in Game 4, they were down 13-3. Mike Woodson took a timeout, settled them down.
And Al Horford misses the first shot of the game. This is Dick Stockton along with Mike Fratello. Cheryl Miller is here as well. And it has now come down to a best-of-3 series. And the home team has been the victor in every game. Pierce, guarded by Bibby, into Rondo in the first foul of the game, and a hard one at that, as Joe Johnson sends Rondo to the floor.
Well, that's a guy that Mike Woodson certainly does not need to be picking up any early fouls. Obviously, the ball fake got Johnson up in the air. He had nowhere to go but other than the back of Rondo.
And you mentioned Mike Woodson's team down 16-3 early. How about trailing by 10 points going into the fourth quarter and outscoring the Celtics 32-17 in the fourth quarter in an improbable victory in game number 4.
But, you know, the one thing he had was the ability to fall back on the early part of the game where he called that timeout. His team did come back, okay, to get right back in the game again. So when they went down 10 to start the fourth quarter, he said, look, we've been here already in this game. We've made it back up. We can do it again now. They immediately hit a 3 and a 2, and suddenly it was a 5-point game.
One free throw by Rondo, and here are the Hawks, who looked helpless against the Celtics in the first 2 games of the series. Josh Smith from the baseline, and Ray Allen gets the rebound. Dick Bavetta, David Jones, and Joe Forte are the officials working this Game 5.
I think a little addition to Kendrick Perkins's game attire. He's wearing the face mask tonight. He was hit in the nose in Game 3, wearing it tonight.
Ray Allen hitting the jumper. Ray Allen coming off a 21-point effort, leading the Celtics in scoring, and hit 5 threes as well. The Celtics made 12 of 23 three-point shots in that fourth game. Crowd chanting defense, and that's where the Celtics fell off in the fourth quarter of Game 4. Horford with a wild shot and well defensed inside.
And we think the Hawks are trying to establish an early post-up game here, hoping that Boston will come down and open up the three-point line.
And the short lob from Rajon Rondo to Kevin Garnett goes off the rim. So 2 minutes have gone by, and the Atlanta Hawks have yet to score. Bibby shooting only 35% from the field, despite getting the most points he has scored in the series, 18, the other night. And the first Celtic foul is against Kendrick Perkins.
And you see the extra attention that the Celtics are paying to Joe Johnson. Last game, the Celtics opening up with a 16-3 run. Atlanta finishing the quarter on a 23 run. So we hear it over and over again. The NBA is a game of runs. Some truth to that.
Allen knocking the pass away. But it's amazing that Joe Johnson and Josh Smith scored the last 34 points that the Hawks tallied in that fourth game, and they had all 32 in the last quarter.
Would they not let the other guys take a shot?
Something like that.
We're not shooting tonight, you guys. We got it down the stretch here.
7 on the shot clock. And Perkins has taken that protective mask off, and Bibby hits a 3. Mike Bibby, who is 5 of 15 from three-point range coming in, ties the score.
And Rajon Rondo just backed off Bibby enough to basically let him shoot a set shot. And you don't want to let Bibby get comfortable shooting the ball. You must pressure him all the time to get him out of his comfort zone.
Bibby acquired in February, the most playoff experience of any of these Hawks, and really has not had an impact game thus far. Allen finding an open Garnett. Garnett hitting from outside. Coming into the game, Garnett, 20 points in the last game, had 32 in game number 3. And here's the three-point effort by Joe Johnson. So they left Johnson, no one really guarding him out at the perimeter. And it is now 6-5 Atlanta.
Yeah, we saw two things take place. At the Boston end, we saw a great execution in a half-court play that the coach had called. The other end, Joe Johnson starting out here the way he finished off last game, on fire.
Allen missing a three. Hawks by 1. Bibby, rebound Allen. Perkins posting up, and Horford defending him, and Johnson gets a hand on it, and last touch by the Hawks.
Let's go back and see how shots are created for different teammates. Bibby bringing the ball down. There's a sudden random step-up pick and roll as a result of the screen, the ball movement. You find Johnson on the weak side. He responds with the three.
Rajon Rondo inbounding the ball, has it now, guarded by Bibby. Pierce off the screen. Paul Pierce, 18 points in Game 4. That's the most he has scored in any game, but shooting only 40% from the field.
And that's a guy, I wouldn't be surprised to see Doc go to more plays for him. They need Paul Pierce. He's the guy, really, okay? He's going to create things at the end of the game, one-on-one situations. I'm not sure there's really an Atlanta Hawk that can play Pierce straight up one-on-one.
Doc Rivers says Paul Pierce is our scorer. And Joe Johnson has been the scorer, and it is tipped in. So the Hawks regain the lead, and Joe Johnson has 5 of the 8.
Talk about a quick jumper. He weaved his way, shot it in between 3 white jerseys, knew he was going to miss, tipped it in.
And an easy give and go from Pierce to Garnett. So Garnett, 4 points to start the game.
Well, that's just a mistake. That's a defensive breakdown. The aggressiveness of Atlanta, you can't run and leave a big man like Kevin Garnett in that particular area and let him dive to the rim with no rotation over. If you're going to have a double team like that off the passer, you've got to rotate early with the next man.
You notice a lot of green. It's a green out night. Everyone wearing green, and there you see the double team in the stuff.
Yeah, the guy playing Garnett, who was Josh Smith, left immediately, went and doubled. He dove the lane, no rotation over.
Celtics moving the ball well. 4 assists so far. And there is Josh Smith. Garnett giving him the shot. And the rebound by Pierce. So right now the Hawks are 3 for 9. And Garnett, Perkins trying for the rebound. And it's last touch by Bibby. So the Celtics will have a new clock in the ball.
And we see Boston trying to push the ball down the floor, trying to get out in transition. You seem to associate fast breaking with the young Atlanta team, but the Celtics would like to get down there and get some easy open looks.
Here's Garnett. Got open again and hitting again. Kevin Garnett off to a hot start. 3 of 5 from the field, and the Celtics up by 3.
And you mentioned earlier Garnett shooting just 44%. Remember, during the course of the regular season, Garnett was a 54% shooter. So he's down 10 percentage points in the field goal area.
And Doc Rivers says just because you're going home, you just can't go out and play. You have to take advantage of the crowd.
And this series has been a volatile one for Josh Smith. He admitted in the first 2 games that he was extremely nervous, had a difficult time finding his rhythm, and the numbers reflected that. But the last 2 games, he's shown that there is no place like home. Smith is averaging 28 points, and in Game 4, he had a franchise playoff record 7 blocks. Now, before the game, Josh told me that he's a lot more calm about tonight's game, especially knowing what's back in Atlanta, guys, and that's a Game 6.
And, of course, if the Hawks were to get to that point, that would be an incredible performance, an achievement by the team that really finished 29 games behind the Boston Celtics in the regular year.
Particularly after games 1 and 2, Dick. It was such a blowout on the Celtics' part. You didn't think that Atlanta was going to be able to compete with them. But, you know, let's give credit.
Foul trouble with 5 minutes gone by here in the first. Once again, Mike Woodson will use a minimal bench, maybe 7 people, and the Hawks turn it over. They have averaged 17 turnovers to 12 to the Celtics throughout this series.
One of the toughest things to do is when you're away from the basketball, holding your spot, not leaving it so that your people with the ball have a chance to have an outlet, somewhere to throw the ball. That time Josh Smith went to the rim thinking it was going to be a shot and field goal attempt. Instead, Bibby needed it.
Ray Allen missing a 3, and the rebound over Garnett into the hands of Josh Smith. So the big three of the Celtics have accounted for all of their field goal attempts so far. That means Pierce, Garnett, and Allen. Bibby gets Rondo and had the open shot and missed. He got Rondo to pass him on a good fake, but could not convert. And here is Pierce with a 180, and it's tipped in by Poe. And they're going to give it to Pierce on the tip.
Talk about creating a shot.
Wow.
It would have been incredible if the shot went in the first place. Then he jumps and gets the second shot and tips it in.
And here is Marvin Williams with the jumper, and in talking to Mike Woodson, who should step up. We know about Smith, especially Joe Johnson. He said Marvin Williams is got to be the guy.
And what he wanted there is he wanted to put some pressure on Paul Pierce at the defensive end of the floor. That's why Williams had to be more assertive.
Rondo with the layup. Celtics by 5. Rondo is guarding Joe Johnson right now, and Johnson trying to get inside. Josh Smith crashes the board, and the tip is in. So the follow-up is in, and Smith getting credit for the basket. So a feverish pace here in the first quarter of Game 5. Garnett goes down to Rondo, missed the layup, knocked away. Last touch by the Hawks.
You talk about hustle plays right there. The Hawks saved the layup on the inside. This time, as we see a smaller Rondo back down, keep the ball alive. Josh Smith comes in from the weak side, winds up tipping it back in on that second and third effort.
And almost looked like a Celtic that tipped it in. And here is Allen with the fake in the lane. Loose ball. And the Celtics have it. Poe, good hustle by him.
Dick, how many shots would you say that we have seen Boston at the rim, in front of the rim, or under the basket, miss because they're concerned about Atlanta's ability to block shots?
Here is Pierce working against Horford. Plenty of time on the shot clock. Garnett up fake, and Smith commits the foul. Blocking foul on Josh Smith, his first.
And Smith did a great job of staying down on the first ball fake that Garnett made. Then on the second ball fake, that's what got him in the air. That's what drew the foul for Garnett.
Team fouls at 2 apiece, and here is Josh Childress, and he has had an impact coming off the bench as the 6th man on this team.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who comes in, he makes hustle plays, he'll dive for a ball, save a ball out of bounds, come and block a shot from behind someone's head. Just one of those energy guys coming in, helping out the Atlanta defense.
And shooting superbly. Here's Pierce, and Bibby got a hand from behind on the ball, so Mike Bibby from behind alters Pierce's shot.
That was a heck of a defensive play. It didn't look like it was, but he flew by on the closeout and came back and stayed with it.
And Joe Johnson called for the charge, and that'll be Johnson's 2nd foul. 2 on Joe Johnson, and that'll hurt the Hawks.
And that's what happened in the last game. They had to take Joe Johnson out early because of 2 fouls, and Atlanta had to buy some time during game number 4. You see him come off the screen. There's the hedge by Poe stepping out in front of him. The official felt that the arm may come out, the shove. He goes back to the bench. Here we are with 4.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Joe Johnson will have to sit till probably the 6 or 7 minute mark of the second quarter.
That's a long rest. 5 points for Johnson, replaced by Marvin Williams, who had a brief respite on the bench. Rondo with a pretty play, can't convert. Poe on the rebound. So once again, the Celtics unable to convert when they have inside presence. Bibby driving against Garnett, who blocks it out of bounds.
Defensive player of the year, Kevin Garnett. He had 6 steals in the last game. Here he rotates over and saves what looks like a layup attempt for the Atlanta Hawks. Beat the point guard, or you're a defender off the dribble. There's the help from Kevin Garnett. Nice to have a guy back there protecting the rim, isn't it?
No question about it. And Garnett with 4 blocks, now 5 in the series. And the team has 16, and we mentioned Josh Smith has 15 himself. 8 on the shot clock, under 4 minutes to play in the first, and Josh Smith with a 3-point miss. Pierce gets it out to Rondo. 2-on-1 for Boston. Rondo with the layup.
Well, the defender for Atlanta had needed to step up and commit, or step in and take a charge on him and make Rondo do something other than lay the ball in over the top of him.
Rondo with 5 points, and the Celtics lead by 5. And Horford getting his first points of the game. He had a double-double and led the Hawks with 20 in game 1. Has been kind of quiet in the point department since.
Let's go back to games 1 and 2 that we saw here in the Garden, Dick. At this point, Atlanta was in shell shock mode in the beginning of this series.
And Paul Pierce gets 3 inside for the layup. And once again, the Celtics by 5. Pierce and Garnett each with 6 points.
But as we've watched this Atlanta Hawks team grow up in front of us, now we see they hang around, they don't panic, they work their way back into the game. They stay within the game plan. That wasn't there in games 1 and 2. That's because it's a very, very young basketball team.
And here is Horford with the offensive foul. So first it was Joe Johnson, and now it's Al Horford. And that'll be his first foul and a timeout. And Doc Rivers knows he has a team with increased confidence, and Dick Bavetta hearing it from Mike Woodson as we have a timeout.
Across the floor has 16, 15, 14, the countdown all the way down. And if you get to win all 16 of them, you know what happens? You get to take home the big trophy at the end.
Celtics by 5, and Pierce off to a good start. Here's Ray Allen working against Williams and Rondo for a 2-point field goal, and he is the Celtics scoring leader with 7. Their general manager Danny Ainge, and what a job he did in putting the Celtic team together, and a 30-42 game improvement from a year ago. Kudos to him. And here's Childress spinning his way up and gets the layup. Josh Childress in his 4th year shooting his best of his career, 57%.
It just kind of like chips in. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit on the glass, a little bit at the defensive end of the floor. A contributor.
Pierce will put it up over Josh Smith and hit as we get under 2 minutes to go. So Pierce has 8 and off to a great start, 4 for 6 from the field.
But the big thing is 6 field goal attempts already, Dick, with still a minute and a half remaining in this first quarter. He has 6 field goal attempts.
Nowhere to go with it, and fortunately Horford found Bibby, and over the top on the 3-point attempt goes over to the Celtics, who are leading by 7 points, and that matches their biggest lead of this first quarter. And coming on in is James Posey, who is brilliant with the 3-point shot in the last game. Ray Allen will sit down. He scored 2.
You saw Mike Woodson stand up right after that shot by Bibby, and Bibby had to get one up. He saw the shot clock running down. But Mike Woodson trying to emphasize, stay in our offense, run the stuff we're supposed to be running.
And there's Pierce. This time gets the double team, and Garnett open hitting the shot. And the Celtics can do no wrong from the field. They are 12 for 22 at 55%. Garnett and Pierce each with 8.
So the first time we see Pierce do it for himself, the next time we see Pierce create for a teammate.
Winding down, a minute to go, and a scramble for the loose ball. Williams nearly lost it. Here's Childress, forced the shot up but gets the foul. Crowd thought it was a charge, and David Jones says blocking against Boston. And it'll go against Pierce, number 1 on him.
And you saw what Mike Woodson did. He went right back.
1 out of 2 for Childress. And the Celtics leading by 8 with a minute to go in the opening quarter. Rondo with Pierce, P.J. Brown. Poe is in there as well as Posey. 10 on the shot clock. And we will have a foul as Zaza Pachulia coming into the game. And he
standpoint, because basically the message he sent was, look, we're tired of getting beat up. We're not going to let you guys punch us around. We're standing up nose to nose.
Pierce from outside, the offensive rebound. Rondo, and a new clock. Half a minute remaining in the first. Pierce in the air, gets the basket. We have seen a couple of 180s from Paul Pierce, who has 10 points, has hit 5 out of 8, and the Celtics leading by 10. Differential of about a second and a half. Williams working inside. Marvin Williams with his second basket.
If you don't think there's been a concerted effort to go to Paul Pierce, 14 field goal attempts in the last game. For the whole game, he has 8 already here in the first quarter.
He is indeed the scorer, says Doc Rivers, and the final shot of this first quarter, and that'll do it as the Celtics defense holding the Hawks to only 19 points, and after one, In Game 5 of the series, all even, the Celtics lead the Hawks 27-19.